All systems go. Clear for liftoff.
What's going on, everybody? It's Wednesday now. Happy Wednesday. 7-game MLB slate. Talk with my man, Gyiraszin. Man, interesting slate. No weather. It's always good. Coors Field always excites me. Always has an interesting dynamic, though. And definitely today, unlike yesterday, Coors Field, the Padres, by far the chalk of the slate. Very easy to know that. Pitching, pretty clear where the chalk's going again. We have another guy, pretty good pitcher going against the White Sox. Didn't work out yesterday. Ain't going to scare people away today. Joe Ryan, very chalky. I think Clark Schmidt, probably SP2, pretty clear. The two ownership plays there. I do think there's enough pivots at pitcher. We'll get to. There's always pivot at bats as well. But 7-gamer, I think there's only a handful of pitchers, only a handful of stacks. Pretty easy slate over here for me. Just got to get the right combinations, just like you needed the Diamondbacks yesterday. I saw you had some D-backs. You called Christian Walker. Keely in Discord, we were on the Cubs too. Talkman absolutely went nuclear. Very good. A lot of screenshots in the Discord. I wanted to pull up one in particular. Give me a sec here because he won 2 qualifier tickets. He said he was in for $27 and he won 12.5K. Let me get right here. M.A. Wags, huge night in the Mega Gold Glove last night after spending $26 to win a qualifier. 8th place, $12,500. Awesome stuff to you, M. Wags. Hopefully you can run it back. Things you love to see. When you go $27 to $12,500, you can't do that every single day. That's the game we played, DFS. Absolutely impossible not to love it. Gyiraszin, how are you doing on this fine Wednesday afternoon?
Man, not as good as that dude spending $27, getting $12K worth of prizes, money, fun, all that fun stuff. Absolutely. It was kind of title, we've been talking about it. These chalk pitchers been absolutely shit so far in these last couple weeks. And Pablo Lopez last night, should have been a smash spot. Absolutely just took a shit. Sounds like he's got some kind of injury. His velocity was down. It was just kind of odd. That's not scaring me off, Joe Ryan. The White Sox still lost that fucking game. They suck, man. White Sox absolutely suck. So going right back there tonight, pretty easy for me, man. I'm just locking Joe Ryan on whatever team I play, either on either site. I guess the decision would be who's the SP2. Yesterday was kind of tougher at pitcher. We had 8-9 guys that we could have thrown in there after Lopez. Nobody was really, we weren't agreeing exactly what order and what. And, Max Fried, it's baseball, man, comes right out, lights it up. People are like, he's not right. He's hurt, he's not been himself and blah, blah, blah. Really necessarily concerned about that. Came out through a great game. Gilbert had a pretty decent game. Rodriguez got his ass kicked, was probably the second chalkiest guy. It's just been going, it's just over and over. But chalk offense last night, Padres, disappointing again. But, man, Cubbies came through. You had to have Talkman. But, man, if you had that D-back stack and you had Pavin Smith, man, that every tournament I was in, they were less than 5% owned. Christian Walker hit that bomb, which was nice. But, yeah, hey, we're going to get back at it here today. That stack, though, did save me, though, title. I got to say, it wasn't where all my money was. Most of my money was on some Cubbies, and I had some Orioles, which didn't come through. Unfortunately, King got his absolute ass kicked, looked like shit, gave up that grand slam. But, hey, it is what it is. We're going to get it. But, yeah, we're going to see. And, hey, Dane Dunning, he did give up some runs. But, man, I think he gave up 2 runs right off the bat. And then he struck out the net 5 out of 6 guys. So, hey, sometimes your pitcher can give up some runs. As long as he gets some strikeouts, still help you get there. So, there might be a guy today that might be in kind of that boat that we might talk about here. Might give up some runs, but I think the strikeouts are there to decide that. But, yeah, Joe Ryan's a clear chalk here today.
Yeah. Hey, when I'm talking, make sure you got your Ethernet in or something. It looks like sometimes 1920s, that fuzzy over there. I can still hear you most of the time, but definitely make sure your internet's good, Gyiraszin. Go Collect's in here. Gator Nation's in here. Michael W. Juice is in here. O's killed me yesterday. I will say, we talked about the O's, and everyone was on the O's. I even had my buddy. He watched the show he said he has some O stacks, and he texted that he did take some O stacks back from what we all said. When everyone likes something, especially in baseball, it can be a time to jump off. The Rockies, yeah, I like the Rockies too. King, unfortunately, you needed the D-backs. You needed Smith, the Cubbies, Talkman as well. So 10-game yesterday, there were so many options. Again, 7 games today, I think it is a lot more clear. Again, before we get into it, appreciate everyone hanging out. Like button right away, subscribe button right away. Y'all know the drill. If you want to join us at the Nation, no better time. NBA going on, playoffs, PGA going on, MMA going on, NHL going on, MLB going on, NASCAR going on. Prices don't change with all that. Weekly $24. No Discord for that. No promo code. Still, all the content, $24 a week if you want to give it a try. Otherwise, monthly, $69. Promo code takes it to about $58. 6-month package, $59 takes you to about $50. And our annual package, $49 a month, takes you about $42 with that promo code HOOP15. Projections, ownership, core report, slate plan. We have the early slate going on in MLB. Our guy BJ was in, did our slate plan, put up the core report. Discord's always popping. Again, NBA playoffs, NHL playoffs, plenty of money to be made. If you want to give us a try, join the Nation. Absolutely. Discord's on fire. Plenty of people joining every single day. It's cool to see the community grow since we started, not even a year ago, over here at the Nation. So if you want to give us a try, make sure to use that promo code HOOP15. Plenty options. And of course, shout out to our partner for our sponsorship for the MLB show, 4 Deep. If you're looking for betting, process, education, picks, I keep seeing Tommy G posting winners on Twitter. 4 Deep right there, shippingnation.com/4Deep. Use that promo code SHIPIT. It'll get you 20% off. If you are a SHIPIT member, you do get a 2-week trial as well. Check them out. Shout out for them for sponsoring this show. Talk some baseball, Gyiraszin. Who else we got? Rick rolled, went hard on the Cubs, didn't have any Bellinger Talkman. That's also the thing about baseball. You can have the stone cold nuts, or you can get the right team, the right pitchers, etc. If you miss a one bat that double dongs or goes off, you still ain't winning the cheese. It is a tough game we play in baseball. You have to embrace the variance. It's not for everyone. There's no doubt about that. Baseball is not a DFS sport for everyone. You have to have got to be strong up here mentally. You have to be fine losing 2 weeks in a row, 3 weeks in a row. Just like really any sport when you play GPPs, but especially baseball. It's when you win, how much do you win? You got to get to first place, especially with how top heavy these prize pools are. Adam's in here. Andrew Martinez, we'll get there when we talk some pitching. Let's get right into pitching, though, Gyiraszin. Again, 7-game slate, no weather to worry about, which is always nice. We talked about it from the get-go. Joe Ryan, the clear chalk. Anyone playing the White Sox nowadays is pretty much going to be chalky. We're not worried about what happened with Pablo Lopez yesterday. 7.5K props, some juice on the under. 2 7.5K props, Clark Schmidt and Joe Ryan. Juice on the under for both of them, but I do think that's where you get the 2 SP1s, at least in terms of ownership. Schmidt, Ryan will be a popular pairing. We like picking on Oakland. We like picking on the White Sox. I'm not even going to break down. I'm not going to say like 8K and above and 8K and below, though, Gyiraszin. I'm going to have you talk about everyone because I do think there's only a handful of guys really in play. How I rank them right here, I like Ryan. I like Clark Schmidt. Garrett Crochet in the same game. I like picking on these twins, too. We talked about him yesterday. Didn't do much. Pitchers duel with Crochet and Joe Ryan, I think, is very interesting. I do also think if you wanted to not play a Joe Ryan, Ronaldo Lopez has upside. Crochet has upside. Clark Schmidt has upside. Those are probably the only ones that I would play if I'm not playing a Joe Ryan. And that's pretty much my whole pool. I guess I could throw John Gray down there. I think he's fine. But I went upside today. Crochet, Joe Ryan, Clark Schmidt, Ronaldo Lopez, the 4 that clearly have some upside. Those are the 4 pitchers I want. John Gray would be the 5th. It's that easy. Andrew Martinez mentioned Jameson Taillon, if you want to talk about him. But if I'm going down below, again, I think John Gray, I'll find 800 and go that route. If you want to go Spencer Spaghetti, I guess you can talk about him a little bit as well. No thanks to me. 5 pitchers for me. Take it away. What do you see?
Yeah, I agree with you. If there's only a handful of guys that are even really relevant, like at the bottom, I see in the chair, Juice said, I want to see Rodriguez pitch 6 innings. I was kind of digging into that. I'm seeing some reports. They want to stuff his ass back in the bullpen. So I heard there could be a pitch count issue here today with Rodriguez. So I'm a little skeptical of that. Spaghetti, Arrighetti, not interested in Boyle, not interested in any of those guys. Waldron, not interested in Sixto Sanchez. That's basically a bullpen game. That guy's only going to go like 30 pitches or so. Taillon's interesting. We know he's got some strikeouts there. Man, it's just tough here against Houston. Taillon's just so wild. I'm just not a fan there. John Gray is interesting. As I mentioned yesterday, Seattle strikes out quite a bit, especially against righties. So John Gray does have some K upside. I wouldn't say he's in my player pool here today, but I mean, if you wanted to pivot off anybody, I mean, hell, we saw Fetty yesterday, which we talked about, ended up lighting it up yesterday, was one of the best pitchers. So, hey, this is baseball. That's the way it goes.
It's baseball.
Any surprises? We kind of mentioned what might happen. Like this, Fetty's had the 29% K rate bump over there in the KBO, comes over here, got a new pitch, seems to be doing all right. But today, it's pretty cut and dry, as you mentioned. I think Crochet over there against Minnesota, anytime we got a pitcher against Minnesota, I think you definitely got to consider that. He's actually my second favorite pitcher. I'm not really a fan of Clark Schmidt against Oakland there. Schmidt did have he's got the pitch count, everything's there. But man, I don't know. I think I'd rather play Crochet, even though he's had some issues here recently, gave up some runs his last few games. I mean, this guy's got definitely some strikeout potential that could cover up for those runs, which I was kind of alluding to earlier here in the show. Hey, they're, like Dunning yesterday, gave up a few runs, but man, he just kept, everybody got him out. It seemed like it was a strikeout, 7 or 8 Ks he had yesterday. And at that price down there, which Dunning was yesterday, it ended up working out on a couple of my teams. But for me, Joe Ryan, clear and above the guy you should play. If you wanted to go Lopez, Lopez is just average. He's not anybody great. The Braves must, like him for a reason. They keep rolling him out there. But Miller, I think, is interesting. But then we got, Texas. But we saw Gilbert did a fairly good job yesterday against Texas. So, I think the others are risky. I think the only ones I really like are Ryan 1, Crochet 2, and then I'd go Schmidt 3. But I think there's enough gap there between Crochet and Schmidt for me to say that he's my clear SP2. And I think most people are going to play Schmidt. So I just let everybody do that. That kind of did have a little bit of influence on who I wanted at SP2. Just kind of looking at this slate, everybody's going to be kind of funneled to the same 3 or 4 pitchers. It's not like yesterday where they were, we had a handful of guys that could be in play. So maybe to be a little different, you throw in a Crochet instead of a Schmidt. But Ryan, for me, definitely should be in your lineups today. This guy here today, 30% strikeout rate against the White Sox. White Sox just, man, they suck, man. They just suck. And I get it. The White Sox K rate isn't all that high, but man, especially over on FanDuel, you're talking about a quality start and pretty much a win that you can almost bank on here for this guy against the White Sox. So yeah, I'm all over Ryan here today. I think he's by far the best play. I mean, last game I was just checking out, Ryan did give up 4 earned runs. Seems like every other start, 4, 1, 3, then 1. We're on his good one here. So if you want to look at it that way, go for it. But 6 Ks, 12 Ks, 7 Ks. So, against this team, I'm going to assume he gets us 7 or 8 Ks here tonight by far. I think I'd bet on his K prop here tonight. I like that. I also like Crochet's K prop here, both of them. I've been kind of betting on some K props here lately. Been working out for me. But, yeah, those 2 guys here today stand out for me.
Yeah, I will say it was interesting. When you were talking, the Joe Ryan 7.5 K prop went to 6.5 with minus 175 juice on the over. Again, doesn't move the needle for anything. The John Gray one stands out 5.5, minus 140 on the over. I do like, by far, if I go cheap, it is John Gray. Marcin's okay. What's going on, Jake? Hope you're doing well. He's going to be very low owned, so I guess I'm not going to talk you out of it by any means. This is where I'm at right now, though. Yeah, I'm not worried about Lopez at all. If I'm playing, 50 teams, I'm locking Joe Ryan, I think. I think it would take me to 100 teams where I don't click the absolute lock button because of Crochet, Clark Schmidt, Joe Ryan. And I do have more interest in Ronaldo Lopez than you. Obviously a big favorite, so I'm penciling in the win. It's baseball. You can't do that, but I'm assuming it is one of the biggest favorites. Braves should put up some runs here. And, man, he's been solid as 25, 17, 12, 14 DK points. 5.5K prop, pretty much even money, little juice on the under actually. You get the win, you get 5-6Ks. I think you can make it work on this pitching slate. And I do expect, obviously, he's right in the same range as Clark Schmidt, who's definitely going to be higher owned. And I also think probably Crochet's higher owned too, which in that range, yeah, maybe I would just rather go over Ronaldo Lopez. But I like the game stack, Crochet, Joe Ryan, the pitching duel. As Jake said, I always like to do that. I think they feed off each other. One guy's dealing, both good pitchers anyway. You need to keep the game tight, run prevention. Those two, like Lopez, if I had to fade one, chalkier guy, it would be Schmidt, though. Feels like, man, anytime I pick on Oakland, they're definitely not good, but they can be pesky, especially right-handed pitchers. They're way worse against lefties. I do like Joe Ryan. I do like John Gray down there as well, though. Just talking FanDuel real quick. I know that was really quick on pitching. It's because there's only 5 guys, though. Like, I'm not playing 2 bullpen games for Miami and Colorado. I'm not playing Tyon. I don't want to pick on the Astros. I'm not playing this Rodriguez guy. I'm not playing Marsh. Bryce Miller at 9-4, no thanks. Like, I really just think it's a 5-pitching player pool. And if you lock Joe Ryan, you can just mix and match the other ones. We'll get to hitting, too. I think hitting is pretty condensed, too. So if you're going to go Padres, I probably would not go Joe Ryan and Clark Schmidt, though. I probably would try and mix an SP2. Whether I am fading a Ryan, you can eat like the Tatis and the top of the order. If you're playing Ryan, and even if you don't play Schmidt, you play one of those other guys, I do think you have to get a little sneaky with how you do play San Diego. FanDuel, though, Joe Ryan, pricing interesting. 10-6 Joe Ryan, 10-4 Lopez. Then you get a break, 9-2 Crochet, 8-9 Clark Schmidt, 7-5 John Gray. So any thoughts right there, Gyiraszin? Like, if you want bats, it's hard to go Joe Ryan, 4-man San Diego, etc. And I do think ownership will be more spread out. FanDuel did a good job today. I'll give them props. I mean, their prize pools stink. If you want to win $500 in their main GPP, unfortunately, that's what you're doing. But talk about that one pitcher site with the price differences quick.
Yeah, I think I'd still lock me some Joe Ryan there, title. I don't know. Ryan is a guy here that could literally double up every other pitcher here today, I think. I mean, there's an absolute possibility for that. So, yeah, I think I'll just figure out and try to get different in my bats. And I'm not really a fan of the Padres at this point in time, even though I think they're going to be the chalk here today. I'll let that ship sail, man. I'm not a fan, especially the way the Padres been hitting. I'm just not going there. But you know, that Twins game and White Sox game, as Michael is saying there in the chat. I mean, it's cold. It's not. I mean, the game's been bet down to a 6.5. Have we seen a 6.5 total all year, title? I don't know if we have, man. I mean, I don't know if we have. I mean, that's like playoff baseball over unders, you know, where you got 2 aces on the mound. Yeah. So, I mean, that game definitely potential to be a pitching duel. Now, I will say, you know, a guy we didn't mention, I'd look at Boyle if they weren't playing in New York. You know, if they were playing in Oakland and they were out there, you know, on the West Coast in that big park out there in Oakland, I might think about Boyle against the Yankees. Yankees got some strikeouts in their lineup. I really don't mind that, especially at 6,200. Now, being over here in New York, that's a little tougher. You know, I think that's a huge risk, but I do think Boyle, if you really wanted to look for somebody down there, I mean, I couldn't argue with you. It's not something that I'm particularly interested in doing, not even over on DK, but I couldn't fault you for it. I mean, he's got the pitch count. He's got everything you're looking for. Just probably not going to get a win. I mean, you know, he's a heavy underdog, but he's been in the mid 80s as far as pitch count goes. You know, he might get you 5-6 Ks. And if that's the case at 6,200 and maybe he goes 5 innings, he's definitely going to pay off that price. So, you know, Boyle's maybe a guy I'd look at, but other than that, like I said, you nail it. There's only a handful of pitchers here today that are even, you know, remotely viable. But these bats, I think on FanDuel title, I'm jamming in Ryan. I'm going to let the other 40% of the donkeys make the mistake where I'm not going to make that mistake. Kind of cut your pool down a little bit and knock out 2/3 of the people. But I think Joe Ryan's definitely the play.
Yeah, makes some sense.
On IR, that sucks.
Ooh, I will. That's interesting because Spencer Spaghetti, our daddy, of course it is. I like spaghetti. That game, you're talking weather. Twins, White Sox, it's pretty 60 degrees, so not the best hitting weather. New York, Oakland, 60 degrees. In Chicago, man, it is cold. It probably is cold by you, I imagine, Gyiraszin. I'm seeing 40 degrees, like 45 degrees, wind blowing in a little bit, only an 8 total. I don't love picking on Houston. I don't love picking on the Cubs. Argetty's in, Jameson Taillon, I don't love playing either. But if you do want to make a case for a low-owned pitcher, you were saying Boyle, I would pick, and now it probably would be Argetty. Without Bellinger, that definitely is a boost for him. It's chilly there. Like home runs in Wrigley, today we'll get to the warning track or maybe even die earlier than that. Of course, Yordan, Tucker, I didn't mention them because I don't love picking on either of these two teams. But, yeah, with how bad that weather is, Bellinger to the IL, I do give him a boost. So I don't think it's crazy if you want to go Argetty, Taillon, mainly the 5 that I talked about for me, though. Does the 9 righties for the Twins favor Crochet? I mean, yeah, they don't really have Kepler. He's a lot of strikeouts, so I wouldn't even have minded if he was in the lineup. No Julian, I assume. Yep, no Julian in the lineup. They got Castro, Santana, 2 switch hitters. I mean, that lineup's just cheeks, period. Marco's in the 3-hole in 2024. Yeah, Crochet looks good for sure. Does he get the strike though in that Blackbird? Yeah, I don't know, man. Some of these umps are definitely tilting. I'm on Team Robot umps over here, but that's for another day. 70 yesterday, 40s today. That's why you got to get out of the Midwest, Michael. Crazy Mother Nature over there. Kyle Farmer batting cleanup. Yeah, that lineup is cheeks. Crochet, Joe Ryan, pitching duel, make it easy. Lopez, Clark Schmidt in play. I do think getting away from Clark Schmidt as chalk SP2 makes some sense, though. Let's talk some bats. Gyiraszin. First game of the night, just talked about it. New York Yankees, Oakland Athletics, Joe Boyle, Clark Schmidt, 8.5 total, 60 degrees, wind blowing out a little bit in Yankee Stadium. It's definitely going to be pretty low owned as this game. We saw Rizzo homer yesterday. I mean, man, Yankees, people weren't tilting, but right away, baseball, the only game that was going on, Yankees put up, I think, 3 or something earlier. Yankees break the slate over. Not quite. Still a lot of baseball. I'll throw it to you in this one against Joe Boyle, though. A lot worse against lefties than righties. I'm good going back to Rizzo. I like Stanton. Can always play Soto, Soto and Rizzo, the lefties. Can always play Stanton. You can always play Judge. I like Verdugo in the 7-hole, too. I don't mind these Yankees. Like, if you are going to Clark Schmidt, Joe Ryan, eating chalk at pitching, I think it would be interesting maybe going Yankees and the Clark Schmidt pairing, getting the win, a lot of run support and going that way. Again, we know where the ownership's going to go. It's going to go to San Diego. Toronto's going to get some because of their pricing, but man, it's never fun to click them. The Braves are expensive. I think Yankees I can make a case for as a relatively low-owned stack on the short slate. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, the Yankees would probably be even chalkier if they could put together a full game as a lineup. These guys just haven't hit together as a stack to make that all pay off. But yeah, I mean, hey, they're in New York. They got a pitcher here that they definitely can get after here in Boyle. He's got a low K rate to lefties, as you mentioned. He's got a hard hit rate up at 53% against lefties. So yeah, Rizzo, Soto, Verdugo, these guys are standing out for me here today. But I mean, you can always play Judge and Stanton, for obvious reasons. But, the Yankees just haven't put it together for me. I've played the Yankees a few times. It just seems like, they're just at this point better for mini stacks or, hunting one-offs. But I'm going to give Boyle a little bit of respect here. I'm just going to kind of fade this game for bats. Maybe if, I land on a one-off, rightfully so. But I will say, Seth Brown is one hell of a one-off here today against Clark Schmidt, especially over there on DK. That guy's got some pop over there. If Schmidt's going to be the second highest pitcher over there on DK, and you can get you a Seth Brown bomb over there, I think that'll definitely catapult you up in the tournaments. But yeah, if you're not interested in Schmidt today, I'd think about a little bit of Seth Brown as a potential one-off for you.
Yeah, I don't mind that at all, actually. The lineup is out. Man, I was hoping, Noda's in the 1-hole. I like Noda too, actually, if you're looking at a one-off. First base, you get the platoon advantage, only 2.8K. Geloff's a little expensive, but man, he just crushes. He crushes the ball. Rooker in the 4-hole. I don't mind some of these guys, actually. If you're not playing a Clark Schmidt, especially on a short slate like this, that's how you get different. Clark Schmidt doesn't get there because he lets up a couple bombs. or Oakland's just pesky. You only need 2 of them or something. Clark's not on the winner. Your A's get there, and then you can eat Padre or whatever other chalk, Joe Ryan, et cetera, around it. So, yeah, I actually like your that call for the A's. Seth Brown right there in the 5-hole. I like Note a lot in the 1-hole. Wouldn't probably get to the bottom of the order. Would focus mainly 1 through 6. I like that shout, though. And, yeah, Yankees I'm in for. Mainly the top of the order and Verdugo in the 7-hole, but not going to get much ownership. Only a 7-game slate. Imply for over 5 runs. Yeah, no, I can get behind the Yankees. No doubt about that. Next game on the slate, Miami Marlins, Atlanta Braves. 70 degrees, wind blowing out a little bit, 9 total. Sixto Sanchez will be what, 2 to 3 innings? And then it looks to be a bullpen game behind him. Ronaldo Lopez for the Braves. Easy for me. I don't have interest in the Marlins. Lopez won't get enough ownership, I don't think, to make the leverage worth it. Like, to be honest, I'd rather just go A's against Clark Schmidt, who's going to get more ownership, than I would Marlins against the Braves. Just try and get all the leverage. Now, for the Braves, come on, man. They keep tweaking. What's going on? I will say, though, their ownership, I think, has to come down today because of that. People spend up. They want Tatis. They want the Padres. I don't know. I guess that's really the only team a lot of people are going to go to. They're still expensive. They've been tweaking. I can go right back to the Braves. I know it keeps costing people money. There's only a handful of teams to choose from. We're going to get to some of these games. I'll be saying X, 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 X. I'm definitely playing some Braves in my pool. Can always play them without Acuna to make it a little different. Kelnick in the 7-hole. Arcia. They did move Michael Harris up to the 2-hole. So I will say, I actually like Michael Harris less in the 2-hole than I do lower in the order in the 6th spot, because ownership should come up a little bit. But yeah, Olsen, Riley, I still think they're relatively lowish owned. I don't know. The bottom of the order is absolutely bad. Tromp's free at catcher, though. Guillermy, if you want to fill out second base. Take over in this one. But yeah, I mean, Braves have to be in my pool if I'm playing 10+ lineups.
Yeah, Braves, obviously the best offense in baseball. But you're right. The bottom of that lineup just doesn't really do anything for me with Trump down there, or Trump, whatever you want to call him. Trump, whatever. But,
they're literally just they're free and they take up a spot to a full man stack. Like if you want Ryan, if you want Acuna, Ryan, all the studs up there, Judge, Stant, whatever, like you can plug in the bottom to just fill out a bad catcher, a bad second, but you're not expecting any more than like 7.
Right. And what gets me is come on, man, why are you taking out Travis? Man, the dude's been hitting the shit out of the ball, man. You leave Trump on the damn bench. What's going on here, man? When I saw that earlier, that Sixto was pitching, I was thinking, ooh, D'Arnaud is going to be a good play here today. And he's not even in the damn lineup. So, hey, I get it. Catcher position, he can't start every game. But, just the bottom part of that lineup does kind of worry me a little bit. But, the top half is good. Arcia, 1 through 6 is pretty good. But they're expensive, as you said. If we're going to pop into Joe Ryan, you might be looking at a Boyle or somebody like that at the bottom of your pitching, especially over there on DK. So, especially if you want to play some Yanks, they're expensive too. So, we're going to have to sacrifice a little bit here on this slate here today, Title. So not sure if we're going to be able to jam in some of these Braves, but
I think we lost them, unless it's on my end. 2048. All right. Gyiraszin will be back. Yeah. I don't know exactly where he was going with that necessarily. If you want to jam in some Braves, you can always jam in some Braves. You can leave Acuna off. Bottom of the order is tough, though. Like, if I am playing the Braves and I am 5-man stacking them, I'm going to at least have 3 of Olsen, Ozuna, Riley, Harris, Acuna, though. Because, man, it's hard to see Arcia, Kelnick, Trump, and Guillermy, the reason that they absolutely break the slate. All right, lost them. Thank you, Michael. Gyiraszin, if you can, I doubt you can hear us, but try and exit out. Try and go back in. I'll remove you from the screen right now. 1 second, folks. Hang out with me. There we go. Back to here. Fading the Braves will break your internet. That's a good one. No concern about John Gray having pitched 3 days ago. It's just the nature of the slate. Like, you get me 15 for John. Like, there's just not many options down below, which is why I do like John Gray a little bit. But mainly just the nature of the slate. Pitching at home, small favorites. cheap as I'll go at 8.3K. But do I love John Gray? No, I don't love him. Olsen one-off, you can always do that for sure. Jake's chirping, that's keys. All right, so we'll wait for Gyiraszin to get back. I'll move to the next game, the Astros and the Cubs. Spencer Argetti, Jameson Taillon on the mound, 7.5 total. So this is that weather game, only 40 degrees in Wrigley, wind blowing in a little bit. Yeah, like it's just really hard for me to play a game that's 40 degrees right now in late April when we have 70-degree games that we just talked about in Atlanta. Yankee Stadium is better to hit in today, wind blowing out a little bit compared to wind blowing in. Taillon, Argetti, not pitchers I love, but at the end of the day, I think I'd rather play one of these pitchers at low ownership than I would full stack either of these two teams. If I had to pick some one-offs, it's not like these pitchers are going to get ownership where I love even picking some one-offs. Obviously, you can always go, there's no Cody Bellinger in the lineup. You can always go Yordan. You can always go Kyle Tucker. If I'm going to spend up, though, yeah, like I like Acuna, I like Tatis. All look a lot better in a vacuum. Besides Altuve, Tucker, and Alvarez, Strozer, Dusty. Yeah, they are. I don't really have much in this game. There we go. I was trying to hold it for Gyiraszin. Hey, you're good. You're good.
You know what it was? I was talking about Bush yesterday. I left a porn on the site. My computer it fucking crashed it or something. I don't know. But yeah, I think we're good. I reset the shit, so we should be good now.
Perfect. I was just blabbering away until you got
back. Says I froze all dumb face. Was I probably that shit happens. That's great.
It happens for sure. I was just blabbering away, Gyiraszin. But long story short, I moved on. If you want to say anything, finish what you were saying about the Braves. I think I don't know exactly what you were saying, but Houston. I moved to the Houston Cubs game. Cold weather. Like if I'm paying up, Tucker, Yordan, etc., I'm probably going to Tatis, Acuna, even the Judges, the Stantons of the world. 40 degrees, wind blowing in a little bit, just not what I love in late April. 7.5 total. Taillon, Argetti, I don't love, but I would rather play them than I would 5-man stack either team, mainly because of the weather personally. So how do you see it?
Yeah, I mean, Mr. Spaghetti here against it's kind of a bummer that Bellinger is not going to be in the lineup here today because, you know, this guy here, his control sucks. His ERA is like 12. I mean, he's not very good. So, I'm just if the weather conditions were way better, we were looking at yesterday's weather. I think Houston would be one of the chalkier teams on the slate. But as you said, they're just not going to be able to get, the Cubs, I'm sorry. They're just not going to be able to get, any kind of distance on the ball today with that wind blowing it being cold. But I think Argetti, Mr. Ragu, is not going to fare too well today. If he starts walking guys, they could just base hit him to death, which obviously doesn't do us any good in DFS really. But I'm just not a fan there. The low total, the wind blowing in, I just think there's better spots for offenses. Taillon's a good enough pitcher where, he could totally lock up the Astros here today. He's a coin flip for me. Like that's one of those guys we kind of referred to yesterday, like a Lance Lynn. That dude either gets blown up or he's going to have 10 Ks and look like he's stinking Cy Young winner. One out every 4 or 5 starts, that's what he looks like. And sometimes he goes on a roll like he did, was it last year? He, at the end of the year, I think I forgot who was he pitching for Tampa? He ended up just lighting it up there at the end of the year, mowing guys down, looking like he was, Spencer Strider or something. But yeah, I'm just off on the bats here, Title. if the weather was nicer, man, I'd be all over these Cubbies, but I just can't do it. And I do think there is something to be said too. Like we saw it with the Padres the other night when, you got one of your studs in the lineup goes out. I think it just sets you back mentally too. I've played softball, I've played sports. When your big dude ain't there and you don't show up, man, it's just not the same, and I think that could be the case. Bellinger's definitely one of the better bats there in that Cubs lineup. So there's just too many things that raising a flag for me. So I'm going to pass on that one.
Yeah. Like I said, Yordan, Tucker, like clearly the two best plays. That wind was blowing out. I like them a lot, but those balls could go to the warning track today in the cold, the wind blowing in. That would otherwise be homers. You're paying a lot for them. On the other side, it probably would be my favorite play is probably like Michael Bush going back to Talkman at 3.3K. Guys that can lift the ball, have some power. But again, those balls can die at the warning track. At the end of the day, 40 degrees, no one likes playing baseball and 40 degrees, wind blowing in. So I'll pass. And I don't actually think it's crazy. If you want to take a dart throw on Tyon or Getty, if you love the Padres today, you love Joe Ryan, you're like, how do I get different? Playing my favorite stack that's chalk, my favorite pitcher that's chalk. I do not think Tyon or Getty's crazy. Gets you 15. You can live with that on this slate. But yeah, spent enough time on a game we didn't like. Awful weather. I mean, I'm not going to waste your time on this game. White Sox, Twins, Crochet, Joe Ryan. Yeah, I like both pitchers. I ain't playing any bats. If you needed a one-off, let's play that game, Gyiraszin. I'll go to you first. If you needed a one-off on the White Sox with how owned Joe Ryan is, who would yours be?
The Bat Boy.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah,
I'm going to go with Eloy. He did it yesterday. He's what broke it open to start. I'll go with Eloy because he's got the pop, and we know that. But, yeah, I don't like anyone.
I mean, Ryan, you're sitting here looking at a guy that strikes out 32% of righties. So, that's kind of tough. And, I mean, this lineup stinks, man. Like, I just have a hard time any of these guys. Like, I mean, Eloy – I mean, all you got to really do is kind of pretty much pitch around Eloy. He's about the only guy who's got any kind of major league power. I mean, Gavin Sheets, if you want to go there, but that guy never really kind of taken on here in the MLB. But yeah, I don't know. There's nobody. I mean, I go with Eloy too, just because he's about the only guy who's probably going to hit 20 homers on that team all year. So yeah, it's tough. And I'm just trying to look here, like, even if I could argue about some stolen bases or anything along those lines, but
you got to get on base first.
Right. You got to get on base. But, on the other side, though, against Crochet, he has been giving up some runs. So, I mean, I wouldn't totally scratch off the Twins if you wanted to go there. This Twins lineup just isn't all that strong either. Here you got
Buxton got it done yesterday. He went deep. Maybe he starts seeing the ball better and gets hot. I guess Eloy Buxton, but.
Yeah, but I mean, you're looking at, they got Margot in the 3-hole. You got Miranda, Santana, Austin Martin, Christian Vasquez, Kyle Farmer, and Willie Castro. I mean, there just isn't anybody here that I'm even interested in at this point here, but
No.
they're terrible, man. I mean, and too, I think if Crochet only gets 5 innings, I could see Kepler. I could see a lot of these guys getting pinch hit too. So that definitely could be an issue as well, but.
Yeah, you're saying like Kepler and the lefties come in. Yeah, I guess I wouldn't even be surprised at all either.
I could see that. But yeah, I mean, this game here is just a dud. We got a 6.5 game. I'm not usually fishing for bats in a game with a 6.5 total.
No, I'm with you. We'll keep it rolling. No time to waste in that one. Now, this one's interesting right here. We already got Gator Nation saying Royals and Jays will break the slate. It's a game that I do think the Blue Jays are going to get some ownership, actually. One of the chalkier teams on the slate because their big-name bats are cheap. No one is above 5K. Vladdy at 4.6, Bo at 4.4. I said the same thing yesterday with them. Now it's a 10-game slate to a 7 with even less hitting. So I will say, I don't know. Blue Jays can't be sneaky, but no one's playing either of these pitchers. People aren't playing the Royals. So I guess Blue Jays are getting ownership. Yeah, I mean, if I had to pick, Blue Jays have been so bad, man. If Blue Jays are getting ownership, I'm fine not really getting to them. And it looks like they're probably going to get some ownership top to bottom, really. Yeah, no thanks. If I had to pick a team, I guess I would go with some of these Royals. I mean, we talked about Bobby Witt yesterday. You can just play the man in any matchup. He gets on base, single turns into a double, can steal third if he wants. He's got pop, can always play Bobby Witt in a mini stack as a one-off. Vinny P, Salvi, Melendez, Velasquez. Like, I like playing some of these Royals. Same thing I said yesterday. I play the middle of the order. They're going to be low owned. And that ownership, I do prefer Royals over the Blue Jays. Now, do I like Royals over the Yankees? No. Over the Braves? No. Over Marlins, A's, White Sox, Twins, Cubs, Astros? Yes. I guess the more we talk about this slate, when you circle back, though, I don't think the A's are the craziest play against chalk Clark Schmidt, at least as a mini stack if you're not playing them, just because everyone's going to be on the same stuff, really. But yeah, Blue Jays are going to get some ownership because they're cheap. No thanks. And yeah, I guess some of these Royals, especially Bobby Witt. What about you?
Yeah, Rodriguez is one of these guys, man. He's either striking your ass out or you're going to put the ball up in the air. I mean, the dude's mowing all kinds of guys down. He's got a high strikeout rate against both sides of the plate. I mean, we're looking at with last year and this year combined. He's got 42% strikeout rate against righties, 38. But then you look at his swing and miss stuff, it goes from 32% against righties down to 20, or actually 16% to lefty. So he isn't missing too many lefty bats. So if I was going to be looking at anybody, I'd be kind of looking at a lefty here in this Kansas City lineup. You got Pasquantino, maybe Melendez, Velasquez, somebody along there in these top 5 of this lineup. Of course, you got Bobby Witt that you could play, but Rodriguez, he's just a guy, he's going to strike him out, or, you might get one up in the air and get one over the fence here. But yeah, I do like these Blue Jays, but man, like we talked yesterday, the Blue Jays are like my new Twins from last year. Like they just haven't got it done for me as a stack. We've seen one or two guys here, go off and have some good nights, but together as a team, they really haven't put it together. Varsho, is a great one-off, even if you don't want to look at that. Guy's been hot, as we mentioned yesterday. But I do have some interest in these Blue Jays here today. I think they're going to be one of my favorite stacks. Haven't decided if they're my top stack other than, get away from the Padres. But I definitely like the way this game's here lining up. You got an 8.5 total. So I don't mind that. You're sitting there. It did get bet down from opening up at 9. Alec Marsh, nothing special. So I don't mind these Blue Jays at all. I just wish they could put it together, Title. They just haven't put it together for us this year. And I mean, maybe they get it done here. We've seen some other thing, but like yesterday, I felt pretty good about the D-backs, and there just isn't anybody that I see that, I feel real good about. I mean, I'm almost starting to lean kind of like you are. The more we talk about it, I'm thinking some of these A's bats might be a good way to get a little bit different against Clark Schmidt. I mean, especially these lefties over in Yankee Stadium with that short porch over there in right field. So, man, I think the more we talk about it here, I think the A's might be something to look at. But I do like these Toronto bats. I do like these Kansas City bats. And you know what, Title? I was talking to a friend of mine, plays a lot of DFS, plays a lot of high-stake DFS, and was just talking with him. And, every time he sends me his team, I correct him and say, dude, you got to stack up a few more. And he always says, bullshit. When the slate's slow, that's how you win. You mix it up. Everybody stacks and they lose half their guys. Like, that's how you get ahead sometimes. If it's a low-scoring slate, that's how you win. So, especially on the, where there's, 5, 6, 7 games, we don't have a lot of games to choose from. And the more I've been thinking, that's all I keep hearing in my head today. Like maybe just mix it up a little bit today. I mean, I normally do not like to do that. Do not get me wrong. But if we don't see too many teams that we think that could put up a crooked double-digit number here today, I mean, maybe that is the way to go. Maybe, take whatever your fancy is. Some people believe in hot hitters. Some people don't. Some people believe in BVP. Some people don't. If you want to look around at some of the numbers, Houston's got good numbers against, Tyon. You can look at, just different spots if you want. I mean, that's what baseball is all about. Come up with a plan, figure it out. But today, Title, I've been sitting there thinking all day, like yesterday I thought was a good stacking day because I thought there was a few teams that could put up some runs. So, yeah, of course, you're going to want the 5-3, 5-2, 4-4s, whatever else, 4-3 on FanDuel. But, hey, don't be afraid to mix it up a little bit. You don't always have to stack. I guess that's my point here I'm trying to make, Title. You don't always have to stack. I mean, we're stubborn as DFS players. It's kind of like playing blackjack. Like, I don't ever do this. I don't ever do this. I don't do this. But, hey, sometimes it's okay, especially in DFS, if you want to do it. Maybe that's the way we get a little different here today, Title. Maybe we just mix it up a little bit more so than we would normally feel comfortable doing. And I think maybe that's might be my plan here today. I may not full stack anybody.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen it on the winner plenty of times. There's no doubt about that, especially on just 2 days ago at the highest team scored 7 runs. I think it was like a 6-game slate or something like that. The reason I don't do that and I still won't do that is because I just want to keep it as easy as possible. It's really hard for me to pick. You need 5 home runs, 6, whatever it may be, to get the right bats on random teams. It can totally win, no doubt about that, especially on lower scoring slates. I just want to make it easy, hoping the team I do pick puts up 10. And then you have a way better chance when I do 5-man stack them for them getting points more than 5 randoms. That's like the theory behind stacking. However, like you said, it's not a guaranteed. You stack the Braves today and they score 2 runs, you're not cashing. There's no other way around it unless you got the double dongs from the other 3 spots. I do also think that's more viable probably. You mentioned higher stakes, less people, higher stakes, because then if you're playing
100 or
20
less.
people.
100 people or less. I think that's viable too. Like we've talked about that many times here with SHIPIT Nation since, we started, know what your contest is too. Like if you stay in your lane and you play the same contest, like the 121 on DK, the single entry, mid 500 people. Well, you're going to have to be a little bit more perfect than you are if you played on the $100 entry on FanDuel, one only has 113 people or 110 people, so yeah, you're going to have to be a little bit more perfect, but yeah, know your contest. Like you're not getting in the $15 one and,
we've seen it, but don't do it. Like that's negative EV. Like you need the stone cold nuts, and how you get the nuts is a team put up 12. If you're playing a 30-man contest and 29 of them stack and 15 of them stack the same team and they put up 2 runs, yeah, you don't need to be perfect. Your 101 point can win that 20-man contest, and the $15 lotto has 160. So I think it's more viable in shorter slates and shorter tournaments. I still personally don't do it, but maybe instead of 5-2-1 or 5-3, you can go 4-2-2 maybe, or like 3-3 or whatever, something like that. I'm still always an advocate for stacking because it makes you need less things to go right to get to the top. But what you're saying definitely makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, if you're playing in the same tournaments, go back and look at yesterday's. Look at what won. Look at what cash. Just burn through real quick, and you'll see. And you'll start to see some patterns. I mean, it's right in front of you. It's like you get to watch a whole poker hand, and everything's out, and you get to see it all. And why did that guy? Why did he play that? I remember when I first started. Loves bases. I don't know if everybody's been around. Loves bases. Man, I used to every damn day I chased that dude in tournaments. I wanted to know why, what, who, what was he doing, starting to figure it out. And I mean, this was before really stacking was even relevant. I mean, I used to just figure it out. Days. I mean, that's pretty much who I figured it out from was him. So, I mean, and that was 10 years ago, but I mean, I'm just saying, like, go back in the contest. You'll see certain names, just see what they've done. Maybe, know what the slate was the day before. Oh, they pivoted off here. He did this, whatever. That's what I'd like to do. I like to go back. It definitely makes you a better DFS player. But yeah, I mean, I've been going back looking every day thinking, damn, chalk busted again. Damn, chalk busted again. Damn. And I keep hearing DGen75, James's voice in my head saying, fucking donkey chalk busted again. Donkey chalk. And I'm thinking, you know what, Scott, maybe I should start using donkey chalk a little more because really in baseball, there's a lot of donkey chalk.
Yes. If there's a sport to fade chalk, baseball is one of the best sports to fade chalk. There is absolutely no doubt about that. Embrace the variance. Again, you have to be fine losing a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks in a row. You have that one hit. You lose 29 days or 30 days a month. You take first that one day. If you stick within your bankroll, you are by far profitable. LSU Life, think that helped. That freed over Lopez yesterday. Hey, that's what we like to see. Great stuff right there. Freed absolutely delivered. That's enough. A little rant, though. It's always fun talking game theory. And I will reiterate, definitely, if you want to become a better DFS player, find chart people that you respect. Back in the day, Cash Streets, I was always looking at who. CSU Ram, Empire Maker, etc. Always, if you want to get better, see who at the top, what they're doing, try and reverse engineer, be the best that way. That is definitely something to do. Poker, you want to be better? Hand history, etc. Always try and get better. Look at what the pros are doing. Build off of that. 2 games left, though, Gyiraszin. Appreciate everyone hanging out again. Like button, subscribe button, helps us out a ton. Seattle Mariners, Texas Rangers. We have a 9 total. Bryce Miller, John Gray on the mound. I do think John Gray gets a little bit of ownership, but not crazy. Bryce Miller will be pretty low owned. Both guys, John Gray and Miller, worse against lefties. Corey Seager looks like a slam dunk play, man. You want a one-off? Corey Seager staring me right in the face. Evan Carter, Nathaniel Lowe, prefer the lefties for sure. I think they're very much in play on this slate. Corey Seager, one of the best plays on the slate, in my opinion. Seattle against John Gray, again, lefties hit him a lot better. Cal Raleigh bombed yesterday in the first inning, fixed that catcher position. Totally good going right back there. Polanco as well. I don't know if like the bottom of the order, this Rojas or Raleigh, if they're in there, a little tougher to click. I guess if you want a mini stack or wraparound stack, it's not the craziest thing. Seager, though, mainly, and Evan Carter on the Texas side. Raleigh stands out a lot on the Seattle side, but I do think he comes with a little bit of ownership. More of a mini stack game, personally, for me. What about you?
Yeah, I like these Texas lefties. Seager, actually, in my slate plan today, Seager was one of my top one-off individual bats here today. I mean, Miller just doesn't grade well against lefties at all. So, I mean, you got Seager, Carter, Lowe, Smith. I think all these guys are in play here today. So I definitely like some of these Texas bats. I think they're going to be pretty low owned actually too. So I think Seager is a pretty nice play. You get kind of, you want to call it a late hammer, or I guess, no, this one's at 8:05, isn't it? Actually, it is kind of a late.
Second
latest game. You know, you wouldn't
Yeah.
think that, but yeah, I mean, I think these Texas bats are definitely in play. I don't mind them at all. I mean, Miller is a pretty good pitcher, decent pitcher. He does have some hard hit rate issues against the lefties, which is why, I mean, you got 4 lefties in that lineup you can play that, I mean, we're looking at the top 6 part of the lineup if you wanted to go there. So, but on the other side of this game here, Seattle, you know, Seattle strikes out a ton, especially against righties. Gray has had issues in his career against lefties. But, you know, Kyle Raleigh, I mean, this guy here, he's probably a guy I'd maybe look at as a one-off if you wanted to go there in the 3-hole. But, yeah, I like this Texas side. Corey Seager, for me, is a guy that if I could find some salary, it's going to be tough because we're going to be looking at playing Joe Ryan. But if I could get some salary, Seager would be a guy here that I'd be looking at pretty high up on my board as a top one-off.
Yeah, I agree. Seager absolutely looks great. I was going to try and make a case like, unfortunately, the Braves shortstop, Arcia, he's not going to get too much ownership. Like if it was Acuna at shortstop and everyone was going that team, I guess Tatis, again, in the outfield, Kim, Bogart's a second. Yeah. I guess like if you go Padres and you stack them up, but you go Seager instead of a Kim or something like that, and you're playing a Ryan, so that means you might not be able to play a Tatis or Bogarts. That's a little way to get different. Again, trying to think, it's not how you can play anyone. It's just how you play them with like how you pair them. Something like that, maybe a Seager with the Padres stack gets you different with the Joe Ryan because people would rather go Tatis, Bogarts, all the spend ups on the Padres and not maybe a cheaper piece in the bottom of the order instead of Seager. So little stuff like that I try to think of, get different combinations from people, especially on this short slate. Short slate, 7 games isn't too short, but after everyone crosses off the White Sox Twins 6-gamer, then they cross off Houston Cubs because of weather, they cross off Oakland, it becomes pretty thin for the options people are considering. Last game on the slate, Gyiraszin. Again, if you want to join us at the Nation, Gyiraszin has a slate planned up, core reports, tools, pitcher rankings, stack rankings, hitter rankings, NBA. Rio's got the slate planned up, little 2-gamer tonight, big prize pools as always, showdown content. I think 100K up top in the showdown streets. Very excited for that. NASCAR on Sundays, PGA locks tomorrow, an interesting event. MMA going on, no better time. Monthly, 6-month annual packages. Hoop 15 gets you 15% off. All do include the Discord. Definitely get in the Discord if you do join. Weekly, $24 a month, or week, excuse me. No promo code for that. No Discord for the weekly if you just want to check out the content to see what we have to offer. Last game on the slate, Gyiraszin, Coors Field, San Diego Padres, Colorado Rockies, Matt Waldron, and bullpen game. Ty Blatch, I think, is going to open. Bullpen game for the Rockies, though. Yeah, I'll throw it to you right on this. I mean, it's Coors Field, 75 degrees. By far the best total, sitting at 11. Bullpen games are interesting, though. You keep saying how the Padres have been bad because they have been. No Machado in the lineup. With all that being said, that means it is cheaper and easier to get the Padres. They're definitely going to be the chalkiest on the slate. I'll say right away, though, I like the Rockies again. Just simple fact of yesterday. The Rockies did well. They did. They weren't enough to get on the winner.
Slam off King.
Yeah, it wasn't enough to get on the winner because of Talkman, because of Arizona. But, man, it's not the same spot. It's not King getting ownership, 1% Rockies at Coors Field on this slate. Still, though, 7% owned, 4th highest stack ownership on the slate or something in Coors Field in a good hitting environment. Yeah, that's why I like these Rockies. Talk about the Padres, though, at chalk because, man, if I like Joe Ryan chalk and I'm not getting crazy at pitcher, I think I'd rather just go like the Yankees, the Braves, and try and take a chance at lower ownership on some of these others. But yeah, it's they're in a tier of their own in terms of run total for sure. What do you see?
Yeah, I mean, the Padres are going to be obviously chalky. Block isn't very good. I mean, he's got 13.7% against lefties, 14.5% strikeout rate against righties. I mean, this guy here is not very good. Gives up a lot of hard hits to righties. So, Bogarts, Tatis, Kim, as you mentioned, all these guys are in play. I'm not a fan of the bottom part of this Padre lineup either. I mean, it's just not very strong, especially here at the bottom. I haven't seen it come out yet, but I mean,
it's not out yet. They're cheap.
Morel, Ozakar. I mean, these guys, I mean, they're just even their catcher just isn't that good. I like the top 5. I'm just not a fan, but Title, I'm with you, man, with these Rockies. So let's think about this. This Waldron dude is a knuckler ball.
Yeah.
He throws like a weird knuckle kind of ball. And listen, we should know by now in Coors Field, pitches do not break like they do in other places. So if that knuckler ain't knuckling, I got news for him. He's going to get his ass kicked. So, I mean, the Rockies could definitely, in my opinion, put up some nut runs here today. I think the Rockies are probably going to be my sneaky one here today for sure. Waldron, I mean, he's got a 16% K rate against lefties. Blackman at the top of that lineup. McMahon, Jones. I think you could see some runs put up here today by these Rockies. I think the Rockies I think I actually like the Rockies better than the Padres, as weird as that sounds, Title. I mean, especially because
I do too at ownership.
I think the Rockies are there today. As you mentioned, we got a game total of 11. And as you said, they're going to be at 7% owned against a pitcher who I don't think his pitches are going to work. So sign me up, man. I mean, the Rockies suck, but I just think the slate, the circumstances, I might only say I'll play the Rockies probably less than 10 times all year. And this might be one of them, but man, I think the Rockies might be it today, Title. They might be my D-back call today. Like, I think the Rockies might be it.
I mean, I liked him yesterday in a worse matchup at way lower ownership. I said it though. I usually like the lower owned team in Coors Field, which is always the Rockies because they stink. Whoever's coming into Coors is always better than the Rockies, unless they're the White Sox now. But yeah, like they're going to be low on this 7-gamer. I like him more than Seattle. I like him more than Texas as a full stack. Twins, White Sox. I like him more than Toronto, who's going to be higher owned. I like him more than the Royals, Houston, Chicago. So yeah, Padres, Yankees, Atlanta. Yeah, at ownership, I like the Rockies too, and it's never fun saying those words.
Title, I just looked up something while you were talking. He has a 6.6 swinging strike rate this season, 48% fly balls. I mean, this guy here, he's not missing any bats, man. You know what I mean? So I think the Rockies are in play today big time. I think the Rockies are probably going to be on 2 of my 3 teams here today that I'm going to probably play over on DK.
I love it. Philly Phantom, what's going on? Yeah, I saw you took down, a $500 in the turbo or something, Slate. First place, almost a big one for you. Shout out to you. Hope you're doing well. Michael W., we appreciate that. Don, Pla, Black, hope you're doing well as well. Greg's in here. Awesome stuff as always, Gyiraszin. Talking nice 7-game slate. Feel like we condensed it pretty well. Pitchers and bats, just got to get the right combinations, of course. Don't be afraid. Bottom of the order. Don't be afraid to leave money. Shorter slates kind of like this. I don't think it's crazy to play one bat against your pitcher either. I wouldn't play I don't love Eloy against Ryan, but really anyone else. You play John Gray, you can go Cal Raleigh. You play Schmidt, you can go. You mentioned I liked Noda in the one hole. You liked Seth Brown, Rooker. Like that's a way to get different a little bit as well. So can always leave money. Think about combinations though. Trying to get a little different on slates like this. Any final words for the people?
No, hey, let's keep kicking some ass. We got, as you mentioned, we got all the sports. We got the collaboration with 4 Deep going, man. Exciting time to be a part of SHIPIT Nation. I know, I get excited when I hop in there later at night. I wanted to peek and say, man, hopefully somebody else played my D-back stack. Saw that we had a couple guys in there posting some D-back stacks, so was happy to see that. But, hey, how about we all get in there later with our Rocky stacks, and we'll be laughing about all the cheese that we're going to be winning here tonight. So let's get us some Rocky stacks going. Maybe some Joe Ryan. I think that'll get a little bit different here tonight. But yeah, I kind of like what we come up with here as we're talking. That's why I like doing these shows sometimes. You get people in the comments, saying what they like. I mean, that helps a lot. So, but yeah. I think we're going to kick some ass here tonight, Title. Exciting times. The only bad thing is I'll have to wait till next Tuesday when I come on with you so we can celebrate.
Yeah, hey, that's all right. Celebrating is always good, even if it is a week later. I just want to pull up really quick before we get on out of here. Don goes, who would the 4 bats be that you like for the Rockies, if I may ask? So what I like to do always, and they're not grading out well here, are hitter rankings right on the site. You go MLB, see, hit sack rankings, hitter rankings, pitcher rankings, etc. Go to hitter rankings. You can sort Rockies, any team you want to click. You can sort right here. This is how I like to do it. Again, they don't like the Rockies much here. We also, if you go to, but this is how I would do it right here. Top 4, again, because they're all close, maybe then I'd go to like, all right, let's go to the starting lineups page. Let's go to see advanced data. And then I'd go down to the Rockies. Oh, it's loading. 1 second. Go down to the Rockies and then see right here. Diaz right here, solid Woba. Tovar, Blackman. You can see if they're highlighted in red, red's not good. Rockies aren't good, period. But I would then check some of these stats right here. You can see the at-bats. It is a small sample. It's this year. The first thing I would do, though, is go to the hitter rankings. Then you can see all the ISOs, the Wobas, etc. When the lineups are confirmed, they go confirmed. If they're not out, they go to projected. So much content and tools over here at SHIPIT Nation to use to help that out. Yeah, check that out. Absolutely. Appreciate that, Greg. Appreciate that. Al, hope you're doing well. Tyler, hope you're doing well, too. We appreciate those words. Rick, oh, gosh. Rockies and sprinkle some A's sound like a winner. That's definitely does not sound like a winner. But, hey,
right.
At ownership, when do you win? How much do you win? But, yeah, when you say it like that, that does not sound very appealing. Good stuff, as always, Gyiraszin. Tomorrow, early slate. All games early, all the quick hits. We'll have a slate plan, core reports. Everything will be up as usual. But just remember, early slate, quick hit will be up at least an hour before lock. Good luck tonight, everybody. Let's make some money. Remember, NBA as well. NBA, MLB, PGA locks tomorrow. Hoop 15 gets you 15% off. If you want to check out 4Deep, our sponsor, shout out to them. ShipItNation.com/4Deep. Promo code SHIPIT gets you 20% off. Good stuff as always, Gyiraszin. I got the mess up on the host duties. For Gyiraszin, I'm Titletown. Peace. Good luck.